It's not business, this is personal, and it's by request. Trauma bonds, the meaning, the impact, and the break. Stay tuned. Lifers and loved ones, welcome back, and thank you so much for watching. Today's topic discussion for the video, trauma bonds. All right, let's get into it. No time to waste. This one is special, and it's by request. So I wanted to ensure that I could do this one justice and that I could bring clarity, respect for the young lady who submitted the request by email. Thank you so much to you for that. It is appreciated. If at any time you have any requests for a video, feel free to send that to askbizlifestyle@gmail.com. That is askbizlifestyle@gmail.com. If you have a request, I'll do my best to bring you some clarity and go ahead and make that video. And I thank you. I want to preface my comments before we get started by saying I am not a clinical professional. I am not a psychoanalyst. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm none of those things. All right. I'm just someone who's sharing of herself and speaking based on my experience. And I'm telling you not what I think, but I'm telling you what I know based on my experience. These videos are not designed to harm anyone, to trigger anyone. This isn't about being a victim or about bitterness or vengeance. It's actually quite the opposite. It's about healing. It's about sharing. It's about uplifting. You know, it's about allowing one another to feel seen and heard, so let's continue to do that. Thank you so much for the support and just the growth of the channel and the engagement. It is always appreciated. Please, let's keep that energy going at any time as I'm sharing. Feel free to tap that like, but also drop a comment in the comment section based on your experience. You give me that love, you pour into me, I will give you that love back, and I need it. You know what I mean? I need that energy and I need that love, and I'm so grateful to you all. Thank you so much. Trauma bonds, by definition, I'll go ahead and make sure that I throw that up on the screen. That relationship, the meaning, the definition behind that. All right. Basically, two people in a toxic relationship, and it creates confusion because it's a cycle, and the cycle is rooted in abuse, but then also positive reinforcement, and that toxic and that unhealthy connection creates a bond. And again, it can seem confusing because there's going to be times where there's abuse and darkness and negativity, but there will also be stints where there will be what seems to be positive reinforcement and happy times and good times. Anytime that you're in a connection or a relationship with someone, if you're in close proximity with that person, you're sharing energy with them, you're sharing time and space with them, you're breaking bread with them, you are connected to them on an intimate and romantic level. It's spiritual. It's spiritual. Sometimes people don't look at it that way. They don't understand it that way. They think that they're just hooking up. Like they think they just connected, or they think they just met somebody who looks good to them that they like. They think we're just spending time together, but it's deeper than that. It's spiritual. It's chemical. It's biological, which is why we must use our discernment. Be aware of what's going on. Communicate, have an understanding. We take the opportunity to vet people. We take the opportunity to go through seasons with people so we have an understanding of what they're capable of and what their intentions truly are for not only us, but for themselves. We have to test people by their fruit. We have to judge people by their fruit. Fruit meaning, how are they living their lives? What are their goals? Are they goal oriented? What accomplishments have they made in the sense of being able to make sacrifice and being disciplined? How do they interact with others? Are they connected to their families? Are they joyful? Are they able to be at peace? Are they able to be still? Are they able to be at rest? Do they speak positivity to others? Do they speak life into others? Do they have empathy? Do they have any type of awareness or care for others? Are they believers, regardless of what their religion or their belief system is? Are they believers? That's what I mean by we have to test people by their fruit and by their works. All right. It's a great insight into their track record, what they're about, and how they're going to treat you. But at the same time, we have to go through seasons as to see, is this them being in their authentic self? Is this them being authentic in their energy, or are they performing? Are they pretending? We have to take our time. Sometimes we move too fast. And when we do that, we're under the influence of something else. We're not thinking clearly. We're making decisions. We're making concessions. We're making allowances for someone that we ordinarily wouldn't because we move too fast. And now we're invested beyond what we can handle. And we are under the influence and we're under their influence. It is important to take your time. It is important to stay connected to self. And it's important to be connected to what anchors you down spiritually and what your belief system is. It's important. Relationships aren't supposed to make us whole or make us happy or make all the difference in the world. It's supposed to add to what is already there. You embark on a journey. You learn about them, they learn about you. You make sacrifices, they make sacrifices. We compromise. We move forward and do this life together. We look out for each other. We take care of one another. That's, in my opinion, what healthy relationships are based on, and obviously amongst other things. But it's not meant to make you happy or make you feel whole. We're supposed to be that on our own, whether we're in a relationship with someone else or not. Because more important than anything is the relationship that we're in with ourselves. Your relationship to self is more important than the relationship that you would have romantically with someone else. You will not be whole and complete and strong and still and patient and kind for someone else if you cannot be those things for yourself. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know based on my experience. Trauma bonds. It's spiritual. You're creating soul ties when you're romantically, energetically, intimately connected to someone else. The connections that you make within a relationship is real. The intimacy, the intensity, the energy. And not only are you experiencing their energy, but you're experiencing the energy that they bring in from others that they're connected to. People don't think about that when they're out here making choices and they're interacting on a surface level with no depth and no understanding about it. You are feeling the effects of that person's connections to other people. It's spiritual. You don't have to take my word for it. Do your research on it. Soul ties. That's why being in toxic or narcissistic relationships, I consider it spiritual warfare, because it is. Because it is. So because there are soul ties being created, and there is a bond, a spiritual bond that's being created when we enter into relationships, sometimes when they end, especially if it was a deep relationship and it was long lasting and it happened to be toxic, it's a possibility that it's going to be hard for you to break that bond on your own. Trauma bonded relationships are real, and I feel like more of us have been in those than we care to realize or that we care to admit. It starts out the same. Everything seems like it's fine. It's good. You found your person. You're moving through life together. You're in that early stage of the relationship. Everything feels good. Maybe you're taking trips together. You're spending time together. You're having meals together. You're sharing space together. You're falling asleep and waking up next to each other, which for me is very deep. That's very deep in a connection, And over time, as you begin to go through those deeper layers within that individual, you start to see things or certain characteristics that don't necessarily align with your beliefs and where you want to go in life. But before you even have an opportunity to figure out how you feel or how you want to proceed, or if you should proceed, or what you want to do, the toxicity becomes apparent, right? You see that. And again, this isn't about division or separation. This isn't about gender roles, man or woman, none of that. Anyone can find themselves in a narcissistic or toxic connection, in a trauma bond with someone else. Sometimes trauma bonds aren't even necessarily romantic. In my humble opinion, based on my understanding, my research, my knowledge, and my experience, trauma bonds aren't necessarily always intimate or romantic in nature. All right. It's a cyclical connection where there is positive reinforcement and abuse. That isn't necessarily always romantic. So keep that in mind. And depending on who's seeing this, if you're watching this and you feel that you're in a connection that is toxic and it's not even necessarily romantic, take what you will from this and use it, implement it, apply it to your life, and leave what doesn't fit. But if it makes sense, and if there's anything, any knowledge, any energy, any experience that you find within this that will help you, I encourage you, apply it to your life, and that's what it's really about. Right. So again, this isn't about, being a victim. And I also wanted to touch on anger a bit. Because sometimes the anger that we feel for allowing ourselves to be in that position, the anger we feel because we want revenge, sometimes it's natural, it's human. You know, this isn't about judgment, it's human. Anger, wanting get back, like wanting vengeance, wanting to see someone pay for the hurt that they caused, wanting to see someone pay for the hurt that you know that they're causing others. Sometimes you want that justice. You know, we don't have the understanding and we don't have the closure. So when you combine confusion, abuse, lack of clarity, no closure with anger and bitterness and toxicity, I mean, the outcome isn't going to be a good one. You know, it's going to hurt. But the beauty about that is knowing that you can get through it. And embracing something doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with it, that you condone it, that you recommend it, that you would participate in it. But what it is that you're willing to acknowledge it to the point that you can let it go. That you can let it go for your healing and for your progress. Anger will weigh you down. Hate will weigh you down. Bitterness will weigh you down. And it's having much more of a profound effect on you in a way that's negative than it is the person who you feel caused it. I could say for myself personally, I carried around a lot of hurt because I felt like I betrayed myself. As much as I love myself, as confident as I am, as much as I know my worth and I know my value, that came after healing. But there was a time where I felt low. You know, I felt dark. I felt empty. And it was because I felt like the one person that I was supposed to protect at all costs, I let her down. I felt like I let myself down. I was able to reconnect with myself. I was able to mend and repair the relationship to self. I was able to, kind of rekindle that self-love again. And now it's unbreakable because I know what I've been through. And I've done the work. I've done the shadow work. I've done the work behind the scenes to make sure that I'm holding myself accountable and that my boundaries are intact and I'm not operating from a place of desperation or lack. I'm living in a place of abundance. I'm not even in a survival mode. I'm doing a lot more than surviving. I'm thriving. I'm elevating. I'm progressing. And I want that for you. I see that for you. I want that for us all. And that's what this is about. That's what it's about. Loving yourself and being in a positive and healthy relationship with self to a point where you're ready to forgive not only other people, but yourself. Be gentle and kind with yourself. You know, this life is hard. Being an upstanding citizen in this life is hard. Being a stand tall, reliable, dependable man or woman of worth and integrity is hard. And you will be tested in that. And it's not for everyone, but it's for you. Always hold on to that. Never forget that. I was asked, of recommendations or ways, or if I could provide any insight in regards to how you could begin to take steps to break that bond. First and foremost, you need to understand that bond exists and that it's real. That's the first order of business, is accepting that there was a soul tie or that there was a spiritual connection that was created based on that relationship, even if the other person has already moved on and they're not feeling the same way as you are. That's the first step. Second step, healing. Understanding that healing takes time. I'm a firm believer in healthy coping mechanisms. If you hadn't had an opportunity to check it out, I'll link it up on the screen. Check out my post-discard rumination video. I give a lot of insight and just experience and suggestions of, healthy coping mechanisms and healthy escapes and passions that you might look to pursue that would help you in order to break that soul tie. But it is spiritual. For me personally, and I say this respectfully based on your belief system and what you feel comfortable with. But for me, fasting is big. Fasting for me is a cheat code in life. And it's something that I do when I need a recharge. It's something that I do when I'm in a joyful place. It's something that I do when I'm looking to pursue a new goal. It's something that I do as a sacrificial form of discipline to keep myself tapped in, but to also show my gratitude. All right. Fasting. I would recommend that. I would recommend that for sure. And for me, I combine fasting with prayer. Again, for you, that might be fasting and meditation, fasting and journaling. But I would recommend fasting. It's not just about, your diet or something that you do around exercise or a way to look a certain way. Fasting is also spiritual, and fasting is powerful, especially when you combine that with a form of worship, prayer, meditation, etc. And again, I make that recommendation respectfully, because I understand that we all come from different backgrounds and upbringings, and we all have our own ways of connecting to the world and to the universe and to a higher power spiritually. So that's just something that I do for myself, and it's something that I'll always do, whether that just be a 24-hour fast as a form of discipline, or it could be a 72-hour fast. And you can also fast not just from foods or drink. You can fast from people. You can fast from energies. You can fast from activities. You can fast from social media if that's what you need to do. So take that into consideration. You can fast from shopping. You can fast from television. You can fast from anything. So if there's ever anything in your life that is kind of, sucking your life force, that is requiring too much of your energy, that is draining to your energy, give it some thought and consider fasting. All right. Fasting, journaling. Journaling is lovely because you can get certain things out of your system and no one else has to see it. Writing letters that you never even send out or never show to anyone is powerful. It allows you to put pen to paper and to get things off of your heart and off of your energy. And then that way you can just let them go and you can move on. Some people keep the letters. Some people destroy the letters. Sometimes you might just hold on to them for a time so that you can reflect on them or reflect on that time. Take that into consideration as well. All right. But healthy activities, surrounding yourself with positive energy. I repeat, do not look for unhealthy chemical or otherwise coping mechanisms that might only cause you more harm than good. And I feel like innately, for the most part, we know the difference between right and wrong when it comes to things like this. You'll know the difference between something that's good for your health, something that uplifts you, something that gives you life, something that makes you feel proud, something that makes you feel happy, something that makes you feel joyful, versus something that brings you down, something that brings you shame, something that makes you feel sad after it's done, something that leaves you drained or not feeling well, not feeling like your best self. At that point, if you look to negative coping mechanisms, you're just perpetuating the toxicity and the hurt that you're already feeling. But also be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Be loving with yourself. Forgive yourself and others, and understand that healing takes time. And don't be afraid to go into those dark places. That's where your greatness is. Don't be afraid of those dark places of your heart and of your mind. That's where our greatness is. That's where healing is. That's where moving forward is. Sometimes we have to go to those dark spaces in our heart and in our mind in order to get to the good part. Helping others. I'm very big. When I'm at my lowest spaces, sometimes if I have the energy to do so, it does wonders for me to be able to pour into someone else, to be able to help someone else. So that's another great way of being able to find yourself on a path of healing and breaking a soul tie. But I would also strongly recommend, respectfully, consecration in wilderness. Some people make the mistake of looking to replace one person with another as a form of getting over. I would not recommend that. I would never tell you what to do. Again, it's not just about me. It's about you. It's not just about you. It's about me. But I would never try to tell you what to do. However, I will strongly recommend being in a wilderness and spending time on your own. Don't seek out the energy of someone else as a form of distraction when you hadn't unpacked, processed, and gained understanding about the soul tie and the bond that you're in now. It's going to take time, but be strong and understand that with self-love, belief in yourself, prioritizing the relationship that you're in with yourself, prioritizing your belief systems, your children, your goals, your family, your community, and activities that give you life, You will get through this. You can get through this. I'm not unique in that regard. You can get through this, but it is going to take some fight in you. And we have platforms such as this one where we can be ourselves unapologetically, and we can share with one another. We can share of our experiences. We can be seen. We can be heard without feeling judged and knowing that you aren't alone. That is the beauty of this. And it's healing for me. This is my heart's joy. I'm just a vessel. I am a servant, and I'm here. So understanding spiritually what trauma bonds are, do your research on that, educate yourself on that. But I would recommend, just getting started by acknowledging that it was in fact a trauma bonded relationship, acknowledging that and embracing that, not condoning it, but we're going to accept that as to break the cycle so that we're not creating patterns of future toxic connections in trauma bonded relationships. It's important. And love yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind with yourself. Forgive yourself. It's not about blame. Blame is counterproductive. It's negative, but accountability is positive. And I know it's simple, but it's not easy. And I hope I was able to provide good energy, clarity, love, light, and understanding in this video. We can expand on it more as needed. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, as always, drop it down in the comment section. Send an email to asbislifestyle@gmail.com. I'll give that love back to you. I appreciate you all. I'm grateful. And again, this one wasn't about me at all. And I appreciate the opportunity to pour into someone. Your feelings are valid and you're worthy. You're worthy at all times. And I believe in you. So you be sure to do the same. And until we meet again, we out.